Evening. My name is Susan DeCastro. I'm the counselor for Ward 4, and my co-host, Counselor Aneri for Ward 3, is with me, as are Attorney Jake Creedon and Engineer Scott Faria, and they represent the developer. And so this evening, they're going to present plans and discussion of what is hoped to be the redevelopment of the building at 15 Rutland Square. And I thank you all for joining us. I have all of our participants muted until after the presentation by the developers, and then I'll ask you all to raise your hands if you have any comments or questions, and I'll unmute you and you can speak. Okay? Take it away, Attorney Creedon.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Also, Councilor DeCastro and Councilor Aneri, we have with us Kevin Payton, who is from the BKA Engineers. He's the architect for this plan. Both Scott and Kevin will answer questions concerning any of that technical stuff, if there are any, after I give an overview of what the situation is. Again, it's 15 Rutland Square. It is bordered by two Rutland Square streets, Berkeley Street and Market Street. And as your neighbors know, if anybody's there, Market Street is a one-way street. The owner of the property for many years has been Ed Franco through various holdings, management and realty trusts. The zone there is an R2 zone. What that means is that it is, as a matter of right, would allow a 2 or 3 family home to be built on an existing lot of record. I can tell you that in our petition application, we put in for what's called density relief, because obviously we are asking for 56 units in that project. And I can tell you that basically the units are as follows. You'll see on the plans, there are 3 3-bedrooms, there are 16 2-bedrooms, there are 31 1-bedrooms. The structure is going to be a 3-floor above ground with basement. It will be a residential, if you will, security card access for residents only. So some of you may know communities like that. They're called gated communities. So it's not open, if you will, to the neighborhood to just walk into the place anytime they want. Secondly, the building itself was built, believe it or not, in 1878. It was associated with the shoe industry. And we do intend, if this project is successful, to have a memorial plaque there that would indicate that ancient history. The lot size of the entire lot situation is 1.71 acres, which is just under an acre and 3/4. And again, as you heard, it's shared basically by both councilors, Aneri and DeCastro. We have authorized, Madam Chair Lady, we have authorized a traffic study to be done. It has been signed up, and it should be started in the very near future by Vanass Associates. They have done a lot of work in Brockton and in the Brockton area, and for that matter, the state and South Shore. There will be security cameras all around our project for safety purposes. Some of the amenities that I think we have offered or we'll be offering to the city is, first is going to be sidewalks, which I know most of the boards and the city councilors have been recently liking to see, obviously, sidewalks for school purposes and for just general walking purposes. We have multiple, and I think I know that Kevin will address that if there are questions, multiple egresses from very convenient locations with handicap accessibility to all those areas, should there be any kind of fire or disruption. We do intend around the perimeter to have some green space, and we will come up to and exceed the requirements for green space, because interiorly, as you'll see in the plans, we have a very beautiful courtyard, which will be, I suspect, as it is in other communities, the place that most of the residents will get together in good weather. All utilities are on site. We will have to, and it's a technical situation, but we'll have to upgrade many of those to accommodate a 56 unit situation. The other variance that's probably the more serious but common one is that, and Scott Faria will explain that, each unit is technically supposed to have 2 parking spaces. Historically and practically, we have found that in projects like this, whether they be in Boston, South Shore, or Western Mass, they do not really pan out and require 2 spaces per unit, especially the 31, I think it is, 1-bedroom situations. We are going to show that we have 57 parking spaces, but again, we'll be seeking a variance to vary down the 2 spaces per unit down to 1 space per unit. Again, we're doing a traffic study. There's no question there will be an impact. I suspect it'll come in not to be a major disruptive impact, but nevertheless, when we get those statistics from Vanass, we will be sharing them prior to and to the city councilors and to the zoning board meeting that will be the second Tuesday in, I believe, May. Excuse me, on April. What am I talking about? We're actually on the agenda came in today. We're on the agenda for the second Tuesday. That's the basic overview of what we're doing. And Scott and Kevin are here. They'd like to make a little bit of a pitch on the parking and on the other technical design and stuff of the buildings, okay? All right, so is that okay?
Sure.
Musical chairs.
Yep.
Thank you. Tight quarters. Thank you, Counselor. Scott Faria from Holmgren Engineering, and I think Jake touched on most of the points. As far as the lot design goes, we do have 57 spaces with an entrance coming off of the easterly Rutland Square, the Rutland portion of Rutland Square that runs in a north-south direction, and then another entrance coming off of Market Street. We have 57 spaces, as Jake said, 56 units. The parking issue, the city does require the 2 spaces per unit. All of these residential projects that we've been doing in the city that are occupied, we're finding that it's less than half a space per unit is what's being rented by the people that are renting these apartments in these dwellings. So the need for the parking just isn't there. It's obviously close to downtown, close to the train station. So we're pretty confident in the 1 space per unit that we won't have any issues as far as that goes. The utility upgrades for water, sewer, and electric, that'll have to be done. The other major benefit we're doing here to the neighborhood, right now there is no drainage on the property. You've got a giant building and a good size impervious paved area. It all just kind of sheet flows to all the surrounding streets. So as part of this development, we are proposing a subsurface infiltration drainage system that'll handle a large portion of the runoff. So that's and it meets all of DEP stormwater management guidelines. So that's something that's a definite benefit to the property itself and to really the surrounding neighborhood. Yeah, I think that's really it, Madam Chair. There is the entrance that we have going out to Market Street. It is a separate house lot right there. It's house number 48. That's part of our project. That house will be raised in the roadway and parking areas going right through that lot. It's a little bit of a smaller lot, but that house will be raised as part of our project to get that access out to Market Street. That is it for me, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Kevin, if you want to.
I don't know how to do this without drawing.
Does Mr. Payton have a presentation?
My name is Kevin Patton. I'm the project architect and I'm with BKA Architects. And I wish we could share our plans up on the screen, so I'm just going to do a quick overview. We are doing 56 units. And one thing of note, if you're familiar with the building, there are several appendages that come off of the building that will be removed as part of this project. So the entire square footage will be reduced by nearly 12,000 square feet. So the building is going to get smaller. It's going to feel a little bit smaller because it's going to, some of the appendages come out near the street. That will be brought back, and the building will feel a little bit more regular. The units, there's a lot of variety to meet people's needs and budgets, ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms. The units would have in-unit laundry. The courtyard is an interesting asset to the project, and there would be multiple seating areas, potentially some barbecue areas, and maybe structured activities like a bocce court or something similar like that. But a lot of opportunities for gatherings in that area. The other amenity to the property is there will be a amenities area that would include a exercise area, as well as a meeting space, and possibly some smaller business meeting spaces for those people that are needing to work out of their home but can't quite get all of their needs met within their unit for that type of activity. The architecture, it's going to be transitioning or transforming this building from an industrial type building to a residential. So with that comes a lot more windows, a completely different scale, and I think it'll be a real asset to the building, the neighborhood, this building. I think that'll do it for us.
Give me a sense of the size of the units.
Sure. So because we're studios to 3 bedrooms, they range anywhere from 550 square feet thereabouts, all the way up to nearly 1,200 square feet for a 3 bedroom.
Okay.
But there are typical sizes that you would find in the Brockton area.
Okay. And let's talk about lighting around the building for safety's sake.
Yeah, I think we're going to primarily work with building mounted lighting. We don't want it to feel like, a shopping mall, but we would need to light any of our common areas and make sure that anybody moving to their vehicle after sunset is going to feel safe.
Yeah, I'm concerned about, in the winter months, parking your car in your parking lot, walking into the building and feeling safe and feeling that it's well lit enough.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a focus of ours.
User friendly.
And the other thing is lighting such, and it will be downwards such that it won't bother the people living around the building.
Yeah, we always spec all of our outside lights to be dark sky compliant. So that is also something that we do.
Okay. What color will the building be?
We've chosen to work within the gray tones. So we're looking at 3 colors. There's a darker gray, medium gray, and then a white. And then a couple different exposures on the clapboards to give a little variety of the materials and textures on the building.
And it'll be a clapboard building.
Correct.
Let's talk about green space.
Yes, so the building right now does have some nice opportunities for green space around it because it is set back from the street. It's not a typical industrial building that might be crowding the sidewalk. So all of that will be redone. Plus it'll be enhanced because we are removing some of the appendages that come off the building. So it gives us some more opportunities for green space, as well as a very nice buffer between the parking and Berkeley Street.
So to the extent that you'll have grass, will it be underground sprinkler systems?
I think
Keep
that's
the
still
grass
something
alive?
to be discussed, but I think irrigation may be something that's on the table for the project.
Okay, and good sized bushes and trees?
Of course.
So you're going to add some trees to this property?
We don't have a landscape plan yet, but
Other than remove some trees.
Well, right, we are looking at whether or not some of the existing trees are viable. It does look like we may want to remove some of those and put in some younger, more viable trees that are more appropriate for that area.
Okay. Okay. So you're telling us that it will be an investment such that it will be an attractive looking building
Right, that is a goal of this project.
that the neighbors will be proud of and be happy to live near.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the top goals to make that this building is an asset to this community and neighborhood.
Yes. That's, I think Councilor Neary and I would insist on that. That's right. So anything else?
No, not unless the team here.
Okay. Councilor Neary, did you want to speak now or do you want to wait until after the residents speak?
Is he muted?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, no, I'm gonna wait and listen to what some of the people may have to say, and because I think they've touched base with some of the things I discussed with them. Some of the questions you had, the same questions I had with the gentleman last week when I did meet with Ed and the group here on outside stuff and lighting and all that too. So we're on the same page with that. So I'd rather wait and listen to some of the interest that the people have that are willing to bring to our attention.
Okay. So we invited over 100 neighbors and I'm glad all of you came. So if you'd like to speak, ask a question, make a comment, could you just raise your hands? Okay. Thank you. I'll start with you, Diana. You want to unmute? Diana Donis?
Yes. Hi, guys. Good evening. How are you guys all?
Great. Where do you live?
So I live on 72 Rutland Square. It's probably one of the biggest properties on that street. So my biggest question, I actually have two questions. My first question is, will you guys be charging an association fee for the residents that will be living on property? Or like an HOA fee?
So these are apartments, so
They're
everything
rentals.
should be included in their rent. They are not condos.
Got it. Okay. And my other question, so my biggest concern, to be quite honest, would actually be the parking. And I know that you guys said that, from your experience in other developments, it doesn't seem to have been a concern for other areas in Brockton. But I know that Rutland Square has some issues with parking in general, just especially when it comes to the evening time. So I'm just wondering if it does get past where it's okay to have one parking spot per unit, and then we see that it does become a problem down the road where we have a lot of street parking being taken up. Is there a plan to rectify that issue in the future, or are you guys just assuming that there's not going to be any issues?
Well, we have a property management company that would be, that would handle any on-site issues and, we make it clear to the tenants moving in, they have one space allocated to them per unit. And any issues that come up that are either, should be addressed directly to the management company or to the city would get to the management company. But we don't intend on any on-street parking at all. And it's been, it's been clear going through the process that we've gone through so far that on-street parking is not, is not to be offered for this development at all.
Okay.
This is Jay Creed again, and there will be an on-site live-in manager there to handle any immediate problems, be it with law enforcement or with snow removal or anything of that nature for the parking resident area people. That's the best we can suggest at this time.
Okay. John Locher, I'm asking you to unmute. John, will you unmute yourself? Where'd he go?
I got it.
Great. Welcome.
That was a chore.
Where do you live, John?
60 Market Street,
Great.
right on the corner of Berkeley and Market. This is the second meeting that I've been involved with the property development of the Rutland Square old shoe factory. And I'm hearing the same concern. There was parking last time. And my thoughts are, we've worked really hard as a community to kind of clean it up a little bit. And now there's children riding bikes, small children, 5 years old, 7 years old, alone around the block. That was when I first moved there. That could never happen. It was never safe. And I'm wondering, Mike, I guess I'm getting to the question is, what demographics are you marketing your 31 single unit studios and your 25 or 25, 2 and 3 bedroom units? What demographics are you marketing to? So I can understand exactly what may be coming to our community.
I'll do part of it, John. Jake Creedon again. Because of its proximity to the train station, part of the advertisement and promotion that I understand in those single family ones would be young professionals without children at this stage, at the initial stage, so that they could either go into Boston or work remotely in these several community rooms that we're probably going to have in the building.
Will this be market rate housing, Attorney Creedon?
Yes, 100% market rate.
Well, that's all right. I understand what you're saying. And you're basing it on the train and everything. Is there any guarantees that it'll be marketed in such a way that it will bring professionals to that area? It's growing, it's changing, it's looking better all the time. And I feel more comfortable there. And, I'm not opposed to change at all. I think change is great. And the building's old, it's an eyesore. And I think it'd be great to see something new and different. It seems to me that the same proposal that we're hearing now was the same proposal that we heard 2 years ago. Gardens, green space, lighting, appendages moved. It just rings a bell as being almost exactly the same. It's not really changed.
And John, Jake Creedon again. Best I can offer, I suppose, because I did the last presentation, which I think is about 5 years ago. But anyway, we would certainly work and intend to work with the city council laws and the department heads to ameliorate whatever problems seem to rise, including safety of children and schools and other things of that nature. The trouble is there's not a guarantee in anything.
I know.
And it's different.
I know. And we all try to, do our part just to, keep our eyes open and watch, and to make sure that it stays the way it is now. I think that's the biggest concern other than parking with people. The streets are definitely full. There's a lot of multifamilies on Market all the way up. And there's a lot of parking, people jockeying all the time for a space for their car. So even a couple cars would make a big difference on Berkeley. If you put like 5 cars on Berkeley and they walked in, it would make a huge difference for a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
As far as the parking goes, it's really something that has kind of come around just in the last couple of years. It's hard for people our age, I'll say, to wrap your head around the fact that people don't want cars, people don't drive cars, people that these apartments are geared towards, and all of the other downtown housing that's under construction and recently built. Most of them just don't have cars. They use Uber or ride share. They rent a car for the weekend. you walk to the train station or you Uber to the train station, you go into work, you come home. It's just the way it is. All of these projects, they're, the parking lots are half full. It's, like I said, I wouldn't be able to live there with only one parking space, but I'm not the person that they're marketing to, and I'm not the person that's gonna rent that unit. They're not having any problem marketing and renting out these units, and it's like I said, it's just shown all over the city. Things have just changed. People just don't have cars and don't need cars anymore, apparently, even in Brockton. So
Okay,
that's,
well, I get that. And then when we come back to the demographics that you're marketing to, as Bruce B. Downs over Revere, East Boston, they came to a 30-70% lower middle and modest income. So they kind of broke it down like that. Are you going to be following those kinds of guidelines? Is that what you're referring to when we talk about demographics?
No, John, I think the downtown projects that are going downtown may be more geared to that. We are not. We're looking for market rate. You hear the word professional, young.
Okay.
That wants to travel that way. The ones downtown, and I'm familiar, and Scott, and Kevin probably are involved in some of those. They have as you say, a more focused situation on a more affordable, I guess I'd use the word. Okay.
Okay, I'm getting it. I'm understanding. I just need to ask these questions because I'd like to understand, how our community will change, and will it be beneficial for everybody who lives there and everybody who lives around there. So that's what I'm looking for. I think that's a great way to share in the community, all of us, so that we have, we keep what we have. We keep a nice, safe community, pretty much. Nothing's ever guaranteed, like you said, but that's where my concerns lie, only with that. Yeah. And are you going to be, and may I please ask one more thing? Are you going to be doing like a mailing of what it may look like, or what you would like it to look like, or something that people can see and physically put in your hand?
Yeah, John, we have beautiful, Kevin has magnificent renderings, large renderings, and
They're on the Brockton
webpage. They're on the Brockton webpage in color.
Okay.
They're beautiful.
So, and I can just look up Rutland Square project or something. Is it headed like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
and hopefully by the time this project gets through ZBA and goes forward, we might be back to in-person meetings at City Hall and be able to show you everything right there in person as opposed to a TV screen.
Okay. Please, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see you, Laurie. Hey,
I am
Laurie.
Laurie Smith. I live at 44 Rutland Square, which is directly across the street from the factory. And I don't know where you people live, but in my neighborhood, there are cars everywhere and everybody's driving them. And now with COVID, people don't want to take public transportation. People don't want to get on a bus. People don't want to get on a train. This neighborhood cannot support 50 cars having to randomly park around here. Because no matter how you slice it, all those people living over there, 3 of them have 3 bedrooms. You got 9 people right there. They're going to have teenagers driving cars. The parents are going to have cars. Everybody's going to have cars. I don't, and if they have company, where are they going to park? Across my driveway? I don't think so. And in the winter, you can't even park on the street. So all those cars that would be taking up those street parking lots aren't going to be taking them because they're not going to be there to take. I went out Saturday night at 8 o'clock when I figured most people were home, and my entire street was lined with cars because there's nowhere to park. They're multifamily dwellings. They have nowhere to park. And on snowstorms, guess where they park? They park in the factory parking lot because they have nowhere else to go. I don't object to you having apartments there. I feel something has to be done with this building before, God forbid, it burns down or or something like that happens, it's old, something will happen eventually. I just don't think that this neighborhood can support, we've been here since 1980. We've seen all the changes in this neighborhood. Some of it good, some of it bad, but whatever. There's a ton of cars, and I just don't feel like this neighborhood can support all these parking. No matter what you say about cars, I'm telling you, there's gonna be a ton of cars here. Absolutely, positively.
I understand what you're saying, and that's what I said. I wouldn't be able to live here with one parking space. If you go to the downtown projects that have been built in the last 2 years, go there on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock and see how many spaces are taken up. They're half full. There just isn't.
That's because the other half are out for dinner.
Then go at 10 o'clock at night. These spaces, these developments are just geared towards different people that are professionals, people that don't use cars. That's
And if you're gonna have it at market value and you can't fill it at market, what are you gonna do then? What's coming in then? If you can't fill 56 apartments at market prices.
Laurie, that's always the question in every project, is it gonna end up Section 8 and all this other stuff?
Exactly.
There's we don't want to fail, okay? And the projects that we've been involved with that have good financial background and good financial engineers like you have here, that they are successful. We don't catch those problems. Scott's referring probably to downtown Trinity, and that, I mean, you can go through there on a Sunday morning, for example, and half the spaces are empty. Just those type of people that want to be in that type of unit don't have cars.
And then we have a problem. What do they do about it?
Right. And if we do have, if you build, I honestly, I don't object to the apartments. I truly don't. I know something has to be done there. I know it does. But if this happens, and then we do have all these cars all over the neighborhood, then what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
No answer.
I mean,
at that point, I guess
exactly, nothing. And so this neighborhood is gonna bear the brunt of all these cars.
Well,
I know
as
you don't believe they're there. I know they're there. I'm looking at them.
No, I'm not saying they're not there in your existing neighborhood. I agree, they're there in your neighborhood. All of these 4 surrounding streets, I agree. You've got multi-families with multiple
All
cars.
over Coal
I
City.
agree with that. But I'm saying the people that are renting these units in units like this throughout the city, the people that we're marketing this to don't have cars. The people that are living in the 3-family across the street do. It's the truth. As I said, it isn't the way we were brought up. It isn't the way things were 10 years ago.
What happens? Because
But it's the way it is. It's the way
I
it
do
is
not
now.
believe it.
As I said,
I'm on the highway every morning. I drive down Route 3, and I'm telling you,
I'm with you. I understand.
there are cars. Somebody's driving cars.
all
I don't
around,
know.
But they're people our age, unfortunately, not 25-year-olds. That's honestly, that's what it comes down to. That's what I said. People in our generation wouldn't want to live here with no parking. The 25-year-olds that want to live in these spaces just don't have the cars, and that's who we're marketing to. It becomes a marketing issue in a building.
Teenage kids.
In a building
What is market rate going to be for an apartment over there?
Honestly, it's probably a 2-year construction project, so who knows what things will look like 2 years from now. 2 years ago, you wouldn't have thought a raised ranch would be getting $450,000 in Brockton. So
And
2
Laurie,
years from now, it's hard to say.
At the initial presentation we made with Councilor Neary, that question did come up. And I believe the owner indicated a definite range, and it was not anything unreasonable. It was.
This is my other question, because I saw this happen when they tore down Kentucky Fried Chicken around the corner. When you start working in that building, there are going to be mice and I don't know what else galore. Who's taking care of that problem?
I can't speak to that situation exactly, but typically with the building department and your permits, you need
Right.
an extermination
Plan.
plan, exactly.
Yep.
So there's exterminators that take care of
I
that.
don't want to find anything weird in my yard. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think moving them to the neighbors isn't usually in the plan.
Buy a very large cat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. And I just wanted to say, this is a neighborhood meeting, but this project needs relief. It needs both relief from the zoning board of appeals, and then it will have to go to the planning board.
Correct.
So neighbors and abutters will have more opportunities to speak in front of city boards, to have their say and tell their concerns, ask for conditions like extermination and that kind of stuff, although I think that is part of the building code.
That's correct.
So you will have more chances to weigh in on this and share your concerns. I've just admitted someone named Zoom user, but I have to have your name for the Zoom call. So I'm asking if you could please change your name so that I can see it from Zoom user. I appreciate it. Okay, at this time, I'm going to unmute Ellie Barros.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you for being here. Where do you live, Ellie?
On Berkeley Street, actually right behind the building that's the house right on the corner of Berkeley and Market Street.
Okay, thank you
And
for
my
being here.
concern exactly is the building's gonna be right behind the parking lot, or the building. I'm not sure how they're gonna be developing this, is gonna be right behind my house. Noise, traffic flow, parking is obviously going to be a major issue, and I definitely agree with the previous speaker's opinion about parking. This development, to me, it's going to be with the 56 units and the 58 parking space, definitely not enough. And people I live in a 3-family, it's going to be tight. It's going to be very noisy. It's going to be a lot of traffic movement going back and forth for the safety of the area. It's already congested as it is. To add another, 56 building right behind, to the property from where I'm standing for, it's not beneficial. I know you guys are looking at the financial part and seeing the financial aspects of it, and I totally understand. But for the particular location, it's not beneficial for the community. It's just way too much congestion. We don't know who's going to be moving into the apartment, what crime mates are going to be surrounding. If there's kids, I just think there's too much right now for the city to make this development process there's still a lot of questioning. To me, it is a tight location to be considering 56 buildings, apartments at that time. And my only concern is I do live right there, the noise, the traffic flow, people coming in and out, and people parking, most likely will be parking in my property or around blocking my driveway. It's a big concern matter and a factor that I want this to be taken into great consideration. And I'm sure all the surrounding neighborhoods feels the same way.
May I just interrupt if I might, Madam Councilor?
Of course.
Yeah. Ellie, now you live at the house right there at Berkeley, number 8. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay. So you're related to Felix, right?
I'm correct, yes.
Okay. Where we just sold the piece of land because he wanted to buy it for a parking lot for your.
Of course.
Okay. So you have plenty of parking space now, right?
Well, yeah, there will be plenty of parking space.
Right.
Correct, because we was aware of this development potentially going to come up.
Right. I understand the situation, and I think, we've been this route before, and the gal that spoke before, Laurie Yerkowitz Smith, her mother, God rest her soul, used to be one of the ones who would come at us with the parking and those types of things. But, things are changing. Things aren't like they used to be. And I drive Market Street, Berkeley Street, Rutland. I drive them every day, sometimes 3-4 times a day. I see what's going on down there. I was just at Warren Ave and Market just yesterday when there was a little Honda, believe it or not, slammed into a van and tipped it over at about 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So I was there for that accident as well. And I understand the situation when we get to this word parking, but I also agree with what's being presented tonight, because it's going to have a different demographic of people that are going to be living there, and it's not going to be surrounded with the fact that there's going to be so many cars and people having so many cars. And if there is a problem with parking, then it's going to be our job as a counselor, and Councilor Castro will tell you this as well. We have to fight all the time for enforcement and make sure the police are there to do what they're supposed to be doing. That's part of our job as well. And we want to make sure that everyone that's in that neighborhood is protected the right way, and there's enough room for everybody, you know, for being able to get in and get out and get to wherever they're supposed to be going. But I just, you know, I get a little not upset with it, but you know, I hear the word parking and traffic, and I'm sitting here right now where I live, and I'm watching all the cars going up Belmont Street and by Our Lady of Lords, and it's what, 7 o'clock, and they're still zoom, zoom, zoom. It's a means of way of how we get around today. Unfortunately, some of our neighborhoods are clustered, but still, it also, you know, something we have to deal with as well, and we will deal with a problem if there's a problem to be there. I think for your situation, it's nice because you did. Felix wanted to buy a piece of property where so your tenants could have a place to park, is the way it was described to me when I worked that out for him, you know, a month or so ago, which is good because now, you know, people have a place to park. There's still some people on Market Street. I mean, that street's congested all the time with parking. It's congested, so you can't even, you take Market Street and you want to head east. How do you take the right? I have a hard enough time taking the right, let alone to take a left to go to, if I want to go to the Italian Kitchen to get my submarine, my meatball sub. Okay, I mean, it's tough traffic right there as well. So I just want to point that out. I'm not trying to, you know, be rude to anyone's opposed to the traffic, but I think we have to understand that you know, this is a situation here again where we got a chance to change that neighborhood. What we're trying to do is work with neighborhoods and try to bring in projects such as this, but it's going to bring, like they've said, the demographics of a different setting of younger people, people that are going to be using the train. They're going to cross over, and there's another project yet that's going to be built over across from where the park is, not too far away from Keith Park. At some point, there's going to be a big project. That's going to be a large project that's going to be built there at some point. So traffic's an issue. I know. I'm sorry, but we'll do whatever we can.
Traffic, it's also the rodents, the people coming in. Now you have people, you don't know how clean and filter the place would be. And now you have, you know, now it's going to be more congestion. Now it's how is the disposal of the trash? A lot of people are going to be there. So now it will be increase of rodents and stuff. Brockton's already filtered with it, and it's going to add more. Because it's going to be clustered.
It's not going to be that type of a project, believe me, because no one knows where the number's going to line up to, what type of rents are going to be. But it's not going to be anywhere that type of a project that's going to have that type of flourish of trash and all that. No, that's going to be all controlled. There's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, they said that there's going to be a manager that's going to be living. There could be 2 people that's going to be living there overseeing the facility morning, noon, and night. So it's not just going to be what you can see in some other neighborhoods. I mean, I can go through some neighborhoods, and I'm not being rude, but I can go through some neighborhoods and I see some things I don't like to see at some houses right now down on Market Street. Believe me. I mean, I go by them all the time, you know. Trash goes out, 28 cans go out to pick up trash. There's no need of that, but hey, we have to deal with it. But anyhow, I mean, those are things that you know, it'll be all taken care of. That's what we're trying to do. We're just afraid that at some point we don't do something sooner than later. We're going to end up with a situation we just had, you know, at the Brockton Fair where the state building was set on fire and it burned right down. And someday someone's going to set that place on fire and it's going to take a neighborhood down. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me as a counselor. And it's always bothered me. So I'm just trying to clean up an area that I think will be in the best interest of you and your family and all others that live there.
Well, let's ask that trash question of Mr. Payton. Where will the trash be stored, Mr. Payton? I assume there'll be a dumpster, and will it be contained, or what is that?
Yeah, there is a proposed area specific for 2 dumpsters, obviously fenced and visually screened. And it is, I don't know how, without a drawing, I don't know how to describe exactly where it is, but it's on the Berkeley Street side of the building. adjacent to the parking lot.
Okay, but it will be kind of camouflaged. Certainly neighbors won't want to be looking at that.
Yeah, zoning, the bylaws require it to be fully fenced, so you won't be able to see the dumpsters when you go by it.
Okay, are you all set, Mrs. Barros?
Yeah, and exactly, it's gonna be on the Berkeley Street, facing Berkeley Street. Exactly, the house is on Berkeley Street, so I'm gonna be having a lot more infestation of probably possibly rodents. And I know it's too soon to tell until the tenant starts moving in, but this is a huge concern because you are having 56 apartment building. It's not like you're building 5, 10. This is 56 we're talking about. It's a huge number. And that's my concern. And another is going to decrease my value of my property. That's another thing that comes to my mind when I'm thinking of this development being on the process of being developed.
I get it. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Drew Fontero, but before I do, the person who's identified as Zoom caller, I need you to change your name to your actual name, or I can't recognize you for a comment, okay? Please do that. Thank you. Okay, let me see. Mr. Fontero, will you unmute?
Yep,
Thank
unmuted.
you. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I love the proposed idea. I really had a lot of concerns about it, like everybody else. And I'm glad you guys had this meeting for us to speak on it. I lived at Rutland Square for over 35 years, so the street is near and dear to me. So I have had to look at that factory for many, many years. And I've always thought it was cool and beautiful, as opposed to some people might think it's an eyesore. But with that said, it could be even better. You have vocalized that you guys want to do an apartment building, but clearly a lot of people here have spoken that we don't want more people on our street. And it's not something we're interested in when it comes to parking, when it comes to rodents, when it comes to people, extra units, etc. I have to ask, this is a two-part question, where the people of the neighborhood have said they don't really want this and they're not interested in it. Do you guys have another plan that you can turn that factory into? With that said, I live in Hollywood and I come back and forth to Brockton and back to Los Angeles, and I am in the entertainment industry. I've seen that Brockton, Massachusetts has blossomed when it comes to shooting films and seeing countless celebrities here in our town. That place is a perfect place to do a production studio, a production house, anything to do with the film industry. And it will not have the traffic, the trash, the people, and all the unnecessary stuff that we don't want. Have you guys looked into this booming entertainment industry that is coming to Brockton? And if not, would you be willing to do it? And what else are you guys thinking of if it's not a movie studio or something else?
Well, I've been involved with the owner, Jose, for many years, and he's always thinking about different situations, but his primary goal was to not do warehousing, which it is now, for many years. And you may or may not know there was already an attempt in the last 7 or 8 months to burn that building down partially. You're probably aware of that. And luckily it's fully sprinklered and it suppressed the fire. So a new modern building, state of the art, as dense as it may sound, or if it gets reduced or whatever, is still the primary goal of my client, Mr. Franco. I'm well aware, I'm not sure he is, of the movie studio filmings that have been going on in Brockton on a regular basis for the last few months, and very well. My own law office is right around from where the first films were done on High Street. So that certainly I could mention it to him, but that's not his focus at this time. We will keep all options open if it doesn't make it,
So with that said, and I believe John said it earlier, this was presented 2 years ago, this apartment structure. And I remember probably when I was a teenager, much younger, It was proposed then, 17 years ago. And I remember we got together and we signed a petition for it not to happen. So we we're saying over the years that this is not something we want. And every time it keeps failing ever since from then till now. So it seems like the people have already spoken, but you guys keep trying to pitch something that isn't wanted for our neighborhood. Is there a way to find an alternative than to go in this route of this apartment complex?
Again, Jose, this is not part of the plan now. Mr. Franco has spent a lot of money to try to get this project off the ground. This isn't just a drop in the bucket. And so he's focused on this, and we'll do the best we can, is all I can tell you.
Who's Mr. Franco? Does he have a first name?
Yeah, Edward.
He owns the
And
property.
he's owned the building for years and years.
Okay. Would he be willing to talk to some of the residents personally, or I would love to
Can't
speak?
answer for him, but yes, I suppose you could probably call him, sure.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody know how I can get Ed Franco's number?
He's got, there's folks on site all the time, fixing up the property and working on the property. So, Ed's there every day.
Okay.
Right, he's there every day.
If you yell out your front window, he might answer.
I'm gonna go over there with a basket of muffins and just say, hey, Ed, Drew.
Muffins always help.
Are you bringing the muffins from Hollywood, or are you here now?
I'm here now, and I'm a good cook, so I'll do it right here in my kitchen.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Hey guys, real quick question. I was wondering, are you guys trying to refurbish this building if it does go forward? Are you refurbishing or are you demolishing a lot of it?
Yeah, it's a full renovation. So we are working with the structure that's there, but making it smaller to fit the needs of the program.
Okay. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Ribeiro, you want to unmute?
Yes,
Thank you. Good evening.
good evening. Like everybody else, I have a high concern. I live in 17 Berkeley, right in front of it. I've been looking at this building for 25 years. When I bought the home, my biggest fear is this building coming into apartment. This is my biggest fear. If that happens, I will definitely move out of here because there's only like 4 houses in the street. This is the reason why I bought it. So my kids are not in the neighborhood with a lot of people. So another thing is because it's a school zone and everything, 50 apartment, that's way too much. The traffic is crazy. I know they've been saying, oh, Brockton, this traffic here. Yeah, you go to Belmont, any of those streets, those are main roads. That's fine. But this is not a main road. We have 2 streets on the side. Okay, Berkeley sits right in the middle and this building is right in the middle of everything. There's no way the traffic is gonna be okay either way. And the last time I had spoke to Ed, not too long ago, and I had told him that if he ever is gonna build I do not approve. He told me that his idea was elderly home. I said, oh, okay, that's not a bad idea because, at least we don't have to look at this, building like this. You can have some, something nice. He said, yeah, I said, if it is elderly home, okay, I'll approve, but not 50. That's crazy. The traffic is going to be crazy no matter what they try to do. So another thing I have is exactly, we have rats, mice, raccoons, all these crazy animals coming from there. Now as it is, imagine taking this building down. There's no way any of us can stay around for that. There's no way. And if this ever happens, what is the compensation for any of us going through this for 2 years of construction, noises, and all these things? So who's gonna, is there anything?
Huh? She muted?
I think out of the only answer I would have on that is the, as far as the rodent issue, like we spoke about it, is as part of the building permit process, you need an extermination plan. So that's all something that'll be handled at the city level.
That's not gonna cut it. But so anyways, yeah, when I spoke to Ed last, which was not too long ago, like you said, yeah, he's around sometimes. I catch him here and there. And I had spoken to him and he told me elderly home. He never said back again because like the previous, person, we always turned it down for the same thing. It's always the traffic. Yeah, Brockton is crazy. Everywhere the traffic is crazy. But you got to understand, this is a short street. Only 4 houses. There's no way anything can be 50. That's way too much. And there's no way I'm voting on that. There's no way. Nobody. This is my biggest fear. I will sell and get out of here. There's no way. I will not stay around for that. And I am not approving for that.
Thank you, Anna. Drew, I want to let everyone who hasn't spoken
go right ahead.
speak first, but keep your hand up.
Mhm.
Someone else would like to speak who has not spoken yet. Anyone? Okay, Drew.
Hi, okay, sorry. So I've been made aware that Ed is Eddie Franco, who's in this meeting. Yes, Ed? Oh, I can't hear him.
You're muted, Mr. Franco. Wait, hang on.
Hi, Ed.
Hello,
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
I wanted to ask you a few questions. How long have you owned that building?
Oh, 20 years now.
20 years. Of all the ideas that you've had for it, was this idea for a 56 unit what you truly wanted to do with it?
Yes.
Why has it failed to happen before?
Various reasons. A lot of the issues that are being raised tonight came into play. But to your first question, I've looked at other ideas, other things that have been pitched to me with it, and this seems like the best use for that property.
Mhm.
It's an eyesore. I know you mentioned that you think it's interesting to look at. I also think it's interesting, but also, as was previously mentioned, during the tough times we had this summer, someone did try to set fire to it, but for the sprinkler system that we've painstakingly have kept up through the years, if it not had been for that, it would have been a disaster.
Mhm.
And a disaster in monumental proportions. I can see that every house around there would have been just engulfed in flames. So something has to be done.
I think I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
I'm prepared to lay out whatever it takes to get this done. I have financing in place. And now it's a good time for me to do it. I've had other projects that I've set aside to work on this one. But again, if it doesn't come through, I'll walk away and do something else. But this building is not going to go away. It's going to remain an eyesore. And I know there were comments made about rodents and raccoons if we start to work on the building. Well, over the years, the fire department and the building department has been all over me to keep the building from falling apart. So we've been in there shoring up foundations. As the roof fails, we've repaired it. As beams fail, we've repaired them. We've done a lot of work ongoing. So I really don't think it's fair to categorize that if the building was raised and demolished, I can see the rodents and raccoons and the mice scattering all over. But we've been working in this building in the entire time that I've owned it.
Yeah.
I don't really see that those comments are fair. I hope that answered your question.
It's less of my question and more so everybody else's, because everyone is concerned about the rodent issue. And I think it's fair to say that, you know, it should be a concern of everybody's. But you mentioned that it was almost burnt down and we avoided a big fire in the neighborhood. It sounds like to me the reason why we avoided the fire, I mean, why we even faced the fire in the first place, is because you're not able to figure out what to do with the building, because all you want to do with the building is build an apartment complex, and nobody wants that. So, and every time you keep saying you want to do an apartment complex, we keep saying no, the process gets stalled, and then a threat like a fire can happen because the eyesore is still there. You still haven't figured out a plan B or a plan C that building could become into, that we all here could enjoy it. Residents want something that brings, I believe, funds to Brockton, also makes the streets feel safe, but at the same time changes the South Side for the place that we remember 30 years ago, a great place. And mind you, the train station is right there. The Kmart shopping center is right there. That's no longer there. We could put something there too and change that up. But at the end of the day, an apartment complex of any sort in that area it just seems like you're waiting. It seems like we're heading towards another stall and another potential fire in the future, because it's not what we want.
The one thing to remember about this property, it is zoned residential.
Okay.
So, the city sees it as residential property. It's surrounded by residential property. Typically in planning, you wouldn't want this to be a commercial use or an office use or an industrial use and have that kind of traffic brought into a dense neighborhood like this. So it is zoned residential.
True.
So this is properly zoned and properly proposed and hopefully used. The other uses that you're talking about, may work better in a downtown area or in the industrial park, but they really don't fit in a dense neighborhood. A lot worse of a fit than what you folks are thinking this is going to be.
I got to disagree with you there.
No, it's okay.
I do have to disagree with you. And I think a lot of people are disagreeing with you as well.
But it is zoned residential. It's not zoned for those other uses.
Yeah, I think you should unmute Lori. She's ready.
Should have what? Want to let Lori talk.
Yeah. Susan, can we unmute Lori for a little bit so we should get a point in there?
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to take one person at a time. So
Yeah.
if you are finished, I will give the floor to Laurie.
Yeah, I'll come back if I need to. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Susan.
Okay, thank you. Where are you, Laurie? Here you are. Okay, Laurie, unmute.
I don't understand how that's a residential zone, because when we first came here in 1980, there were businesses in that building. ACM was over there. There was another business in there.
Right. As Attorney Creedon said, it was built in the 1870s, so it's
Yeah, there were always businesses in
right.
there.
So it's what's called an existing non-conforming use, but the property is zoned residential. It's as long as it stayed in that current use and was occupied, it was allowed to remain as a commercial factory building, but it's that whole neighborhood is zoned residential.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Laurie?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Hang on, I'm getting back to you, Drew. Okay, unmute.
Does it have to stay zoned residential? Can we go back to what it was before?
Not without going in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Is that
What
something you guys
happens
are
is-
opposed to?
Pardon me?
Is that something you guys are opposed to?
Well, that would be up to the zoning board of appeals. But again, someone wouldn't go in to try to change their zoning unless they had a plan, unless they had a tenant or a buyer or something like that. You wouldn't just do that.
So we would be looking at Eddie to take,
And to put that in zoning law, okay, to change it to a commercial use, that would be known because it's surrounded by all residential, be spot zoning, and the Attorney General's office would override it. This is not a, even though the use has been a non-conforming use in this area, it's got to be residential unless changed. And that if you try to change it to either industrial or commercial, it'll be overridden by the Attorney General, in my opinion, because that is spot zoning in its classic.
what if we did an awesome pitch along with Eddie's passion for changing that building? Maybe we could have something be presented that actually works and that they actually like, that we won't get struck out.
Yeah, we're
Does it work?
focused on this.
I know you
Right.
guys are, but the reason why I'm
and-
saying this is because again, it's something that you guys have been trying to do for so many years and it hasn't happened. And again, with everybody in here, we're vocalizing the same thing as we did 30 years ago. Nothing's changed. Times
I
have
think it would,
changed. It
I think
has,
it would
and I
be
would hope that
great.
we all knew that.
Drew, I think it would be great if you spoke to Eddie outside of this neighborhood meeting.
I would love to, Eddie, if you're down, I would love to get connected with you. I'd love to talk to you.
Absolutely, Drew. I'm
Okay.
happy to hear any ideas that'll work for everybody.
Thank you, sir. I will, I'll go over there soon with my basket of muffins.
Anytime. Banana.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm going to recognize Ellie Barros would like to speak again. Hang on, Ellie. Oh. Unmute yourself, Ellie.
Hi, okay.
There you are.
I'm just concerned too. Another thing, how would you guys do if this does become a development? How would you guys contain the noise from the construction? People can't wake up at 6 o'clock to banging and drilling and, construction comes with a lot of noise, a lot of dust. How would you guys be able to contain this? If there is a residential area, people are going to be coming in and out of there. It's going to be a lot of dust, pollution.
The city has regulations regarding that, and the Board of Appeals always puts restrictions on work schedules. They always do on all of these projects, so I'm sure that's something that would be discussed in 2 weeks' time at the Board of Appeals. But it certainly wouldn't be before 7 o'clock in the morning. No work on Sundays, half a day on Saturday is kind of the normal hours.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else want to speak? All right, then. Attorney Creedon, Mr. Faria, is there anything else you'd like to say at this time?
I don't think so, but again, with the cooperation of city departments and councilors and the neighbors, we've always been open to suggestions that might ameliorate any concerns they have. And having been involved for 53 years in projects in Brockton as a lawyer, I can tell you that the pest control situation has to be done in all those areas, and that will only better the situation. But it's in place, you need permits, and it has to be done.
Okay. I have one more resident who'd like to speak, June Reynolds. Why don't you unmute yourself, June? Okay. June, go ahead and speak. June? Your hand was up? Okay. Okay, then, if no one else wants to speak, Counselor Inieri, anything else?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you all for attending. This matter will go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals at its April meeting, which will be held at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, April 13th. I'm not sure whether it will be on Zoom or be live. The city council is returning to its chambers next week. So if you're interested, check the city website under meeting agendas, and that will tell you how it's going to be heard.
Councilor Castro, yeah, we
Yes.
did get, we have, in fact, today we got it in the mail. At this time, it's going to be Zoom.
Okay.
And secondly, the agenda is in, I think there are 9 petitions. And this is number 7.
Okay, so this is number 7. If you look on the city website at the agenda, under meeting agendas, it should give you the Zoom access information. All right. I thank you all for attending this evening. If there's anything else, you can contact Councilor Neary for Ward 3 residents and me, Susan Nicastro, for Ward 4 residents. And thank you very, very much. I listened closely to what all of you said. Please have a good evening.